Hi, it's Ike from Groovy Entertainment. Today we got another book to read for you. Today's book is The Berenstain Bears, Lend and Helping Hand from 1998. So let's get started. Mama and Papa Bear were like most parents. They wanted the best for their cubs. Brother and sister were like both cubs. They wanted the best for themselves, and not only the best, but the biggest and most as well. The best place in front of the TV. Move over. No, you move over. The biggest piece of cake. I'll take that one. Oh no, I'll take that one. And the most jelly beans. I have got the most. No, I have got the most. One night when the scrabbling big cubs was sound asleep, Mama laid awake worrying. She sighed a big sigh. Was that a sigh? Asked Papa, turning over. Or just the wind whistling through the leaves of our treehouse? We have got to find a way of teaching brother and sister to mind their selfish ways, she said. Do you have any suggestions? But was Papa only suggestion. He had fallen asleep, leaving Mama alone with her thoughts. I have got to find a way, thought Mama, to teach them that it's just as important to help others as it is to help themselves. But how? Lecturing hadn't worked. Nagging hadn't worked. And having Papa talk to them seemed to do more harm than good. As Mama lay there, she thought about Cub learned. How Cub learned by doing. They learned to walk by walking. They learned to run by running. They learned to climb by climbing. That's the answer, thought Mama. The cubs will learn to help others by helping others. But question of who, when, and where went unanswered as she drifted off to sleep. As it happened, those questions would soon be answered. The who turned out to be Granny, the elderly widow who lived just down the road. The when turned out to be the very next day, and the where turned out to be at the checkout line at the supermarket. Hello, Granny, said Mama, as she emptied her cart at the checkout counter. Hello yourself, said Granny. How are you in yours? Just fine, said Mama. Some of mine are over there looking at the videos. Cubs, say hello to our neighbor. Hi, Granny, said brother and sister. The cubs was a little nervous about Granny. She was really old, even older than Gramps and Grant, and kind of bent over. And there was that cricket cane she used when she walked. But the real reason they were nervous about her was that their ball had gone into her yard and knocked over some turnips. They had never apologized. When Mama and the cubs were loading their groceries into the car, Granny came out of the supermarket pushing her little collapsible shopping cart. Where are you going? Called Mama. To the bus stop, she said. The bus goes right by my house. So does our car, said Mama. Cubs, help Granny into the car and put her things in the trunk. That's very kind, said Granny, as sister helped her into the car. My goodness, she added, as brother put her things in the trunk. It must be wonderful to have such helpful cubs. Yes, it is, said Mama, as she started the car. Most of the time, it certainly would be wonderful for me, said Granny. Oh, said Mama. When the cubs realized they was being talked about, they leaned forward to hear better. Yes, said Granny. I need a little help with something. By now, brother and sister were leaning so far forward that the seatbelt was pulling at them. Thought Mama. Maybe this is the chance I have been looking for. The chance for brother and sister to learn to help others. I wonder, said Granny, and this is just a thought, but I wonder if perhaps brother and sister could find the time to help me clean up my attic. It's an awful mess. I paid them, of course. Brother and sister looked at each other. They didn't say anything, but their expression spoke volume. Help Granny clean her attic? What about soccer? What about listening to records with Lizzie? What about playing video games with Cousin Fred? Well, I, for one, think that a wonderful idea, said Mama. Cubs, how does next Saturday sound? She pulled the car in closer to Granny's house. Next Saturday, said the Cubs. Then it's a deal, said Mama. Hop on it, Cubs. Let's help Granny get her things into the house. As the Cubs helped, they saw next Saturday slipping away in the dust, with haze of a miserable, boring old attic. When they was about to head home, Mama turned to Granny. As for paying brother and sister, she said, they wouldn't think of accepting money for being nice to a neighbor. When the Cubs complained to Papa about Granny attic, it turned out that he was even more happy about the idea than Mama was. Cubs, I'm proud of you. I think it's grand of you to volunteer to help poor old Granny clean her attic. But Papa, we didn't exactly volunteer, said Brother in a small voice. Nevertheless, said Papa, it's a wonderful thing you are doing. I think you might find it interesting. You never know what you might find in an old lady attic. Careful now, said Granny. Those steps are rather rickety. It was Saturday morning, and the Cubs was following her up to the attic. When they reached the top of the steps, brother and sister just stared for a moment. Well, here we are, said Granny. They was indeed. A strange feeling came over the Cubs. As they looked at the pile of old things, it was as if they had walked into the middle of her whole life. There was a dressmaker dummy with half of dress pinned to it. There was old magazines. There was an amazing strip in the bottle. Wow, said brother. It has all the raggedy or riggedy that was my late husband's hobby, explained Granny. What's this? Asked sister. A radio, of course. Granny said. A radio, said sister. It looks like a little casero. Do you think it still plays? Asked brother. Let's plug it in and find out, said Granny. Brother plugged it in and turned it on. Music came pouring out of the strange old radio. Rock music. As the Cubs started listening to rock music coming out of a radio that looked like a casero, they had the funniest feeling about how time worked. It went back in the past and followed into the future, but now it was the present. They had work to do. Papa was right. Granny Attic was kind of interesting. Granny organized two really big boxes. One was marked throwaway and one was marked keeper. You know, said brother, we're going to have a system if we are ever going to get this job done. Granny agreed. Hear what they did. They sat Granny in a comfy old chair and brought things for her to decide about. Then she looked at each thing and said, keep it or chuck it. But as the morning went on, the cubs began to worry. It seemed to brother and sister that she was chucking some pretty interesting things. They were beginning to get an idea. It was just before lunch when the cubs found some really interesting things. Some really interesting things. What's this, Granny? Asked sister. It looks like a really old Barbie doll. A really old Barbie doll. That's what it is, she said. It's the original Barbie doll I had when I was a cub. Then brother found something in a box of old papers. It was baseball cards. I can hardly believe my eyes, he said. This looks like Babe Ruth's rookie card. That's probably what it is, said Granny. My late husband was a big Babe Ruth fan. After lunch in the attic, the cub told her their idea. There's a lot of great stuff in here, said brother. You shouldn't throw it away, but what should I do with it? She asked. Have a garage sale, said sister. Goodness, said old Granny. I don't know about that. I don't have a garage. You have a yard, don't you? Said brother. You can have a yard sale. And that's what happened. Mama and Papa pitched in and helped. The very next Saturday, Granny had one of the most successful yard sales ever held in the neighborhood. Granny appreciated the cubs' help very much and wanted to pay them something, but Mama still wouldn't hear of it. She did allow them to accept gifts, however. Granny gave sister the original Barbie doll that she had when she was a cub, and gave brother the Babe Ruth rookie card. Wow, said sister. Double wow, said brother. So that was the Berenstain Bears, London Helping Hand for 1998. So please like, subscribe, share, and comment. Have a great video. Another video coming out real soon.